All right, here's the second video on simplifying complex fractions. Of course, just got a little curveball here, and here's the curveball. This is the fraction that we're trying to simplify, and this bottom is x squared minus 1. Well, that's a difference of squares, so it factors to x minus 1, x plus 1. So we're trying to find the LCD of x minus 1, x plus 1, x minus 1, x plus 1. Well, that's going to be x minus 1 and x plus 1. So we're going to take our expression, and again, we're going to multiply the top and bottom of the big fraction by that LCD. But notice on this bottom one, instead of putting x squared minus 1, I'm going to go ahead and leave it in factored form. So if I multiply by x minus 1, x plus 1, on top and bottom, let's see what happens. And when I say top and bottom, I mean the big fraction. So here, it would cancel with the x plus 1, so leave me with 2 times x minus 1. Here, if I multiply by x minus 1, x plus 1, the x plus 1s would cancel and leave me with 2 times x minus 1. And on bottom, they would both cancel and leave me with 5. Well, on top, that becomes 2x minus 2 minus 2x minus 2. Just distributing that 2 out. Those cancel. And I'm left with negative 4 over 5. All right, last example. This one has a fraction inside of a fraction, and then we're also asking to subtract. But the only little fraction has a common denominator, has a denominator of x, so the LCD would just be x. So I'm just looking at the big fraction here. Because it's a fraction, I can multiply the top and bottom by x. Go ahead and drag that all the way down. So that would be x. That would be x. And then the x would cancel on this guy and give me that. Well, in order to multiply these, I would need a common denominator of x minus 7. Nothing happened on the first one. On the second one, it would be x minus 7 over x minus 7. This common mistake would be to forget your parentheses, would be x minus that. If I distribute that minus sign, the x's would cancel and I would be left with negative 7 over x minus 7. And that is pretty much it. So hopefully that makes sense to you on how to simplify a complex rational expression.